Welcome to Talent on Tap. My name is Brendan Brown. Excited to be with you. Last year around this time, we released our Future of Recruiting Predictions report, and we dug into a lot of interesting topics, but little did we know a year later the world would be dramatically different. Obviously, COVID has impacted our personal lives and our professional lives, and in the world of talent acquisition, we'll continue to step up to meet these demands and these changes. And our LTS team has gone out and re-surveyed the world of talent acquisition to understand where this industry is going. And last year, I gave my insights on these predictions. This year, we want to mix it up and do it a little bit differently. And I am super excited to welcome a special guest to the show, Lauren Gardner, who is the Corporate Vice President of Global Talent Acquisition at Microsoft. And she's leading the charge for an organization that hires tens of thousands of people every year. So with that, welcome, Lauren.
Thanks so much, Brendan. I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
So Lauren, let's dig in. One of the big predictions is around virtual interviewing. We obviously all know that we've had to shift how we do things in this COVID world, but would love to learn a little bit more about how you're tackling that at Microsoft and what you've learned in the process and any advice you might have for the viewers today.
Like many of our teams, particularly in our sales organization, we have been utilizing a hybrid approach to interviews. But with the tragedy of COVID, like all of us, we had to quickly change to a global and scalable virtual approach. So things that we've learned, I'm sure you won't be surprised to hear that there's absolutely a cost savings. There's shorter time invested in scheduling, which in turn is reducing our time to fill, which is fantastic. But again, as we see countries either go back into stage 2 or round 2 of COVID, we are really considering a more modern hybrid approach and continuing to look at our long-term interviewing approach because of it.
What tips do you have for people either that might be doing more of this or maybe they've already done it and they're trying to optimize? Any advice on what works best in terms of preparation and execution of virtual interviewing?
We're still learning. We do not have this perfected, but one is making sure that we invest even more time to prepare candidates, hiring managers, and interview teams in terms of what to expect or make sure that we've got a great experience for our candidates ahead. 2, we know that some companies, including us, do utilize some assessment tools, and we have to make sure that those tools like tech screens are ready for prime time, if you will, in a virtual environment. And frankly, that includes accessibility, which is incredibly important to us. And then third is engagement and connection is incredibly important. And a lot of pushback we heard early on is face-to-face. There's no replacement for face-to-face in the human connection. But I think as we're all learning, several months into most of us working from home, that the reality is connections can happen virtually, they can happen face-to-face, and the new normal is that we've got to be able to utilize our technology and tools to create a connection wherever we work around the world.
Next topic is diversity, which I know is very important to you. It's important to me, and specifically wanted to get into accountability and what recruiters should do to keep the business accountable on the topic of diversity.
So we're focused on 4 key areas. Recruiter enablement, think of that as what can we do to continue to learn and build our own capability. Hiring team capability, leadership accountability, and data processes and tools. And frankly, that's really around what processes and tools help us and further our investment in terms of representation, and which ones hurt us and we need to address appropriately. So, to your point, a lot of pressure is put on recruiting to fix representation. And what I've shared and conveyed as broadly as anyone who will listen is if we consider diversifying our organization as a 10-step program, recruiting is steps 1 and 2. And the reality is there is a shared accountability in steps, if you will, 3 through 10. And that is around what are we doing to make sure once people are hired that they are developing to and through the organization in a way that represents the customers and partners we serve. And then how are we creating a culture where everyone can do their best work? So it's a way of not just taking the pressure off of recruiting, because we absolutely have a critical role to play here, but it's a way to drive shared accountability across the system.
Love it.
So as I mentioned in the report, recruiters have got to be able to answer questions on culture. Candidates today have a lot of questions on what do companies stand for and what is their culture. That includes stances on diversity.
Exactly.
How many of us have heard the following? I would diversify the team, but I don't want to lower the bar. Or, gosh, I can't find any fill in the blank diversity people around the entire world. How does a recruiter respond to that? But equally as important, what can we do as leaders to create a culture where people are okay asking for help? My expectation of our team is you can't possibly know everything, but you can certainly take on a learning agility approach and ask for help as often and as needed as possible.
Finally, the last trend is around the fact that recruiting will hire less and build and borrow more. And we found that 1 out of every 2 people surveyed felt their recruiting budget will decrease since COVID-19 began, and 20% see an increase in internal mobility. No big surprise there. But Microsoft has a great reputation for moving people around the organization. Can you talk a little bit about the role that TA plays in this new normal?
5 years ago, we took a hard swing and basically focused almost all of our time and attention as an organization on external recruiting. We needed to. We needed to not only diversify our organization, but diversify the skills that we were bringing into the organization to remain competitive. But we swung the pendulum so hard that frankly, we left behind, if you will, some of our own internal candidate processes. So what we've actually just rolled out last month, we're still really early on, is to revisit the role of recruiter to also make sure that we're focusing time on ensuring that we make the best hire regardless of the source. So while I don't think, Brendan, that our hiring mix will change, what we're hoping to do is make sure that our internal candidates have as good and respectful of a process as the external candidates, regardless of the decision made.
Any words of wisdom or advice for anyone who might be either making a big push to do more internal mobility or is just looking to really improve what they do today?
One of the tools that we've started to roll out is called Who Plus, and it is powered by LinkedIn, I'm proud to say, but it really is designed to help all employees discover, connect, and grow their career. So think of it as an internal recruiting tool, managed very respectfully, but it gives us a chance, and people, particularly some of our generations, who find that social connection hugely important to their growth and their well-being. And we're also focused, like many of you, on screening in. So how do we make sure that we're asking questions, not only the what skills people bring and possess, but also how they're applied in a cultural context?
This has been incredibly insightful and helpful for me, and I'm sure anyone watching. So thank you for joining us, and I'm really grateful that we've got the opportunity to collaborate going forward. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today on Talent on Tap. Please take a minute and check out the report. We've covered 3 of the trends, and there's more predictions to be had. So read through, and would love your reactions. Comment below. Share any other predictions you might have. We always want to hear from you and what's happening in the minds of people across the world of talent acquisition. So thank you, and we'll see you next time on Talent on Tap.